Welcome to the Unbound Priestess podcast, a transformative space where we delve into potent conversations, guided practices, and profound teachings designed to help you nourish your sacred gifts, reclaim your personal power, and break free from limiting beliefs. So we were talking about healing the land at Pine Notch, and you were asking me questions. So let's start from there.
My question initially is that when Leandra first came here to work on Pine Notch the first time, and I specifically asked her to come here to do this particular working because the land definitely needed some sort of support, help, attention that I did not know how to do. And so my question to Leandra is what did she call in when she was walking around the property and doing her work?
Yeah. So when I do this work, when I walk around damaged land, and it really in all my everyday work, when I'm working with the energies, I'm working with my higher self. Not necessarily deities. Sometimes I will. I do have relationships with certain deities that I work with, but for the most part, it is my higher self. And through my work, what I have developed are 9 divine feminine archetypes. And they are aspects of my spiritual self. So think of them as facets to the whole. And they all come together and work. So specifically, when we arrived on the property and you took me up to where the heaviest damage was done to the property, where all the logging was done, and we're walking around, and you're following behind with the wagon that had all the tools in it that I perceived I might need to use. I started to summon the mother, the great mother. And that is where I wanted to show the land that I'm there to nurture, that I'm there to help. So I'm connecting that energy of the divine feminine archetype of the great mother. Now, and don't think of the great mother as this one that is all sacrificing. She's nurturing, she's guiding, yes, but she's not the typical mother archetype we see in patriarchal society where we currently live and function. This is an archetype that knows her worth, and it's not her worth isn't seated solely in her ability to have babies and take care of the home and make men happy. Her worth is in her ability to nurture. Then I called upon the medicine woman. The medicine woman is one of the archetypes that works almost directly with the great mother to heal. So she has the plant knowledge. She has the deep knowledge of aggressive healing, but also gentle healing. So I started calling those two in. And as we were walking around, of course, I started with my different tools, pulling them from the wagon, trying to communicate with the land to see what the land wanted from me first. I'm not there to demand. I'm not here to lay expectations down. I'm here to communicate. And with that, that's when I also call in the queen archetype, because the queen knows her own authority, knows her own boundaries, knows how to lead without ego, to lead with instead of lord over. So I arrived with those 3 initially to express to the land that I'm here to facilitate healing, both in gentle ways and aggressive ways, whichever that might be. So, we're walking around. I started with a drum. I did some tingsha bells. I had, different aspects that I needed to work through to get a feel for the land of the energy. And using those archetypes is how I was able to get a sense. And it ended up being my own voice that the land wanted to hear.
Well, and I want to give a visual of the cart, right? Because we pulled up with the cart, and I had this foldable wagon, and I knew that we were going to be walking in the backyard, and there's trails and stuff, but it's not like there's a road. You can drive to it.
Yeah.
And so we start unloading and putting things into this cart, and there's drums, there's smudge pots, there's candles, there's bells, there's more herb things, there's more. So the cart was full.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember Leandra grabbing the one pot, and she just starts walking. And so I'm behind, pulling this wagon up along these trails, and I'd see her get to a fork, and she'd pause, and then she'd move off in a direction. And so it was like she was going somewhere, even though she had never been back there.
No, I had never set foot on this land.
Yeah, right. So you'd get there, and it would be like, oh, where's she going to go? Is she going to go left or right? Oh, she's going right. Okay, we'll go to the right. Oh, where's she going to go left or right? Oh, we're going right. Okay, we're going over here. But then you saw the trial and error. She would take the drum, and she's drumming a bit. And then she comes back. She's like, yep, didn't like that. And then she went and got something else and had to go get something else and come back. And so you could see there was a dialogue happening where Pine Notch was being very specific about what it did and did not want. I think in all respect to Leandra was like, yes, I appreciate what you're doing, but we don't want the drum.
Right.
Whichever archetype that's associated with, that's not the one we wanted at that moment. We wanted something else. And eventually it was just Leandra singing. And I had kind of gone off with the cart to the side, and we were at the header where there's this giant pile of the debris from the prior logging. A lot of it's still there. So there's this giant pile of discarded.
Yeah, it was
logs.
devastation.
And that area was carved down like 4 or 5 feet from what was probably the terrain of the property in order to create a giant turnaround where those giant 18-wheelers come in, take the logs, and they drive out through the gate to the road to take the logs to market. So that is the center point. That is where all of the trees got taken in order for them to be taken away.
Yeah.
And so when Leandra was singing, she was walking behind one of the bigger piles. And I was just kind of, like I said, I was sitting over to the corner watching.
Yeah.
But when you're calling in those different archetypes, how does that relate with what might be a spirit of the land? Because I know a lot of the times we've talked about the spirits of the land either not being gendered or just being old or just being. Is there a sense of how they react to the archetypes you're pulling in?
Yeah. And I love that question because it's something that I think we confuse in patriarchal society. We confuse this idea that men, women, male, female are these dichotomous expressions. When we're looking at the divine masculine and divine feminine, they are expressions we all have. They're all within us. They're not gender specific, but they are energetically specific. So when we look at the divine masculine, we're looking at someone who is emotionally intelligent, who calculates before acting, that has more of a fiery presence, like a fire personality, but is not reactive with like fire might be. And then we might think of like a feminine personality archetype structure as being more fluid. So I look at it as like the story of Shiva and Shakti, where the divine feminine in that story, she is the wild waters who is washing across the land, creating as she goes, but also destroying. And the divine masculine is the riverbank containing that energy, directing it so that it can be productive and not destructive in its wake of creation, where it's more focused, where you get the more linear side. So the masculine would be more linear, the divine feminine would be a little more chaotic and creative, right? So the divine feminine archetypes, they embody that creative, chaotic nature, the wildness of the female archetype that is tempered by the divine masculine. And in all mythologies, when you have the divine feminine, the divine masculine, god, goddess, you typically see them in pairs because they temper each other. They work together. So in nature doesn't recognize this dichotomy that we create in our human experience. They recognize energy. Is your energy chaotic? Is it more organized? Is it more creative? And how is that going to fit into my thriving? Because a tree knows how to be a tree. It doesn't question itself. A flower knows how to be a flower. It doesn't question itself. It knows what it needs to do to thrive. It needs to root deeply. It needs to get nutrients. It needs water, and it needs the sun. It needs to grow down as well as growing up. And it doesn't, a daisy doesn't try to become the oak. They know. So they know energy very intimately. Where we as humans, we always question, well, am I doing it right? Does this feel right to me? Am I following the right path? Am I doing what's expected of me? Am I being authentic? Because we have been so conditioned to deny our authenticity so that we fit into this paradigm, this mold of productivity. To what end? But nature doesn't see it that way. Nature doesn't produce just to simply produce. It's a cycle. The fruit tree produces the fruit, drops the fruit, the animals eat the fruit, and then they defecate and the tree is fertilized. Or the fruit rots and the tree is fertilized. It's a cycle where we don't, in patriarchal linear societies, we don't function that way. We produce to serve this 1% who hoard all the resources that we produce. Our time, energy, money, all the resources. Where nature doesn't do that. Nature gives freely. And that's the matriarchal model of how they function. So when you come in and you're working with a plant spirit, you can't come in and this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it with these hard linear things. They're more of a divine feminine energy. So when I'm working with the divine feminine energies, what I'm doing when I'm testing is I'm testing which ones do you need? Which ones are you looking for right now?
So when you started, because I saw, like I said, you started with the drum, and then when you finally found the language you were going to use, which was going to be the singing.
Yeah.
What was the energy that Pine Notch gave you back? What was the response, and what was it responding to? Was it responding to the Great Mother? Was it responding to what was the frequency you ended up finding at that time?
The frequency I found was a combination. So it was more than one wrapped together. So it was a combination of the Great Mother, the Medicine Woman, and the Queen coming together. I think there was a little bit of the child in there too, the play. When we first got here, like there was a resistance. There was a big trust wall up. I'm not working with you. Who are you? What do you people want? We've already been devastated. There's so much going on because you had construction going on in the house. You had all kinds of renovations going on. And by the way, we're sitting in the house right now. It's done. So there was this wall of resistance. I don't want to talk to you. Who are you? Go away. It didn't want anything to do with us. But once I opened up, and it was really, what it required was a piece of me. I needed to offer a piece of me to show that I am here for reciprocity. I'm here for a genuine purpose. I am authentic in why I'm here. And it needed that authentic expression from the core of myself. So the singing was that core expression. And once the words started to flow out and the melody started flowing out, that wall came down. And still, like, it's still taking time. Like, we're still working with Pine Notch a year later to get it to be completely on board, but it's more receptive. It's definitely showing more of itself, like Grandpa Hemlock. Tell everybody about that, the tree. Grandpa Hemlock, aren't we cute?
Grandpa Hemlock is its own. It truly is its own story, because we had gotten the property in July of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a winding driveway and there's a curve, and then it comes up to the house. It comes to the big open clearing where the house is. And for over a year, we were driving back and forth on this driveway. For a year, for a little over a year, we had been, if we took the ATVs out, and here's also a difference in that I would say for almost a year, we rarely went out back.
Yeah.
You'd go out there and you'd maybe drive around once and then you'd come back in. Like there was no, you just did not want to go back there. It wasn't like you felt creepy or evil out there. It just, you just didn't feel like you just wanted to be back there. It just,
Right.
you'd get out there, you'd turn around, you'd come back. You'd go down the driveway sometimes, you'd get the mail real fast, come back.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't linger in the outside spaces. And that was why I had the idea, because I had now, in that March of that year of 2025, I had met Leandra for the second time, which is what got me the idea of, okay, I know this is what I'm running into. I need somebody to come in and give me a different perspective as to why is it reacting this way and what can we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was probably, I would say, we'd been back and forth, May, June, July. And again, we're trying to get things done. We're trying to work outside. We're trying to get traction with contractors and just hitting roadblocks every direction we turned. There was some undiscovered disaster. That's what it was. There was some
no joke.
Yeah, some undiscovered disaster
Mm-hmm.
for a property that was supposed to be turnkey. But there was these undiscovered disasters that when there was finally like another return in August, where Leandra had now been up there twice.
Mm-hmm.
Come up in August, and you kind of had to make that mental decision of, okay, I'm going to start going back there. So every day, 5:30, get on the ATV and go right. And there's a circle trailers, and so you can kind of go around the middle.
And I would give you homework to do too.
You can kind of go to the corner. And so I would load up my supplies in the back of the ATV, and I'd go out there with my, burn this, do that,
Mm-hmm.
have this, stand at the crossroads, clear out anything that was negative that didn't need to be there. So I'm doing this homework in the interim. So I was driving back down this trail. I've now been on this trail multiple times, the driveway, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm coming down the driveway and I look to the right and I'm like, I had not, because when they logged, they took every big tree. And when I say big trees, these are trees with a 3.5, 4 foot diameter.
Mm-hmm.
You look up in the canopy and there's these massive holes where one tree had stood.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of looking for big trees. Like, were there any left? And so I'm coming down the driveway and I look and I'm like, that's a big tree.
Mm.
But I had never seen it before. So I parked there, stopped the ATV and literally it's off the driveway. Like it's maybe
it's right there.
Maybe like 50 feet off of the driveway, 100 feet off the driveway is this tree. And I've never seen a tree shaped like this before. Yeah. It's got branches that curve up all to the point of almost like a
spade.
Yeah, like a spade. All of and these are big branches. Yeah. That they just curl up and point up in the middle. Mm-hmm. Looks like something you would see in a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Oh, yeah.
Or a
like a dark fantasy.
Yeah, dark fantasy kind of tree, that it would be the tree in the center of some open meadow. Right, like I remember that final battle scene in Stranger Things where there's that big tree in the middle. I'm like, oh, now he's moonlighting in Hollywood because it was a similar shaped tree. And I'm looking at this tree and it's not alive. Like it's alive, but it's not alive. There's no leaves or needles on it because it's definitely a hemlock.
It's an old tree.
It's an old tree. So it is at that stage of maybe it has stopped producing. In the last, because it's not rotted, it's not collapsing, it's still very solid. And I'm like, where has this thing been? Like, it is massive. It is not something like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, you drive up the driveway and you look to the left, you're like, there it is.
Right. Where was it before?
Never saw it. Because Leandra and I had walked down the driveway. Mm-hmm. We had walked up that trail.
Right.
Never saw it.
Yeah.
We never saw it. Nope. And so it's now September and Leandra was going to be doing a retreat. So another friend of ours was flying in as a surprise. So I brought her to stay here at Pine Notch because Leandra was staying at the Hudson House, which is another property over in North Creek. And I was so excited to show our friend the hemlock. And we started calling it Grandpa Hemlock, right? The tree that I had not seen for a year and a half.
Yes.
That now is just showing up. Like it's there all the time. So we went to go because we stayed here that night. And then that next morning, bright and early, we're going to go. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you Grandpa Hemlock from the car. Like we were in the car. I was like, I'll park here and show you.
Show the tree.
And I'm looking where I'm like, that's where
it's supposed to be.
And I'm pulling forward, pulling backwards, pulling forwards. And I'm looking and I'm like,
where'd it go?
And she's like, well, where is it? I'm like, it's right there. Like, it's right there. And she's going to give me a side eye. I'm talking up this tree, right? Oh, this tree is so massive. Yeah. I'd sent people pictures of this tree.
Yes.
You know, oh, he shared pictures of this tree. And I'm like, we're going to see it, you know, in real life. There's no tree. Mm-mm. And so we went back and forth, no tree. And then we went back and we went to the other house. We did not see the tree until that evening. Mm-hmm. He is one of those mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, we can't forget, it's almost like he phases in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, he was invisible.
Right.
Legit invisible. You didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Our friend didn't see it.
No, and there's been times when you told me, like, oh, go say hi to Grandpa Hemlock. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go up the trail. I'm like, where the hell is he? Like,
find it.
Okay. You don't want to talk to me right now. That's fine. But yeah, we think that he definitely like has his own portal, or he is a portal that
just phases in and out. But, and I guess the question is like, again, when you were pulling in these energies, mm-hmm. do you find it responding to one over the other, or is it all of them, or do you get a different response? Like Hemlock's response seems to be like, you guys are so cute.
Yeah,
you're so adorable. That's so sweet. You guys are here asking permission and talking to us. And, being all, is it okay if I touch your? You guys are so cute.
You're so cute. Yeah. So the most part, the trees up here are very standoffish. They're just, they don't trust. They really don't. And rightly so. I mean, I'm looking out the window where we're sitting right now, and there's two giant stumps from trees that they cut down for no freaking reason. And the one is still alive. It's trying to regrow, which that's the tenacity of nature. But definitely when you come up here, there is definitely a, why are you here? What do you want? And why should I care? Like, they're expecting devastation. And the history of this property it's one of tragedy and devastation and betrayal. So that's expected. So when I come up here and I'm working with this land, I'm trying to build that trust. So I do find that the different archetypes that I pull in, they will respond differently. Like, I will not pull in necessarily the warrior or the primordial or the dark goddess archetypes in this space, because they're a little more aggressive than what I think I need to work with here. I bring in the warrior when I'm doing protection, when I'm building boundaries of protection for this land. But mostly I'm bringing in the child, the mother. I'll bring in the mystic occasionally, and the queen, and even the enchantress, because I want to attract the right people to this property. The people who will adore it the way you do, the way I do, so that it knows that it is loved, and there's a legacy being built here, something that's bigger than just an Airbnb you can rent for a week and enjoy the space. I've held women's retreats up here. This will be like my headquarters for women's retreats, because it's such a special place. It's such a beautiful place up in these 6 million acres of forest. And there's so much more to this space than just forest and a nice place to stay. So when I'm bringing in those archetypes, I'm trying to get the land to realize that we're here for a bigger purpose, and we're here to be stewards, not to rape and pillage, essentially.
And I mean, and there have been times, I think, where there's been a little bit of pushback. I mean, I've seen you pull in that more assertive archetype, like when we were all sitting on the driveway, and there was something kind of walking out of the woods, or kind of creeping out of the woods.
Yeah, it was a little creepy.
It wasn't even walking; it was kind of creeping out the woods, and it was like, what when that happens, and you are, because I would have two questions with that, like, why is that here? And what is that a part of? And is that something that was organic to here, or something that gained a foothold here when all of the negative happened?
Yes, that's my feeling, that it gained a foothold here. It's not here now. So what I did, it got the message and it's gone. Like, you can walk out there pitch black. It's so dark out here. You can walk out there pitch black and you won't feel threatened at all. You don't feel threatened in the house. There's no energy here that is intimidating. I won't even say threatened, because that was really not even the right word, but intimidated. Like, you don't feel creeped out. You don't feel like you're being like stalked from the woods. Now the trees are watching, of course. They're always like, what's going on down there? They're aware, but it's not this like creepy, foreboding feeling. And that night, it was our first time, like, we were sensing the energy, because we were trying to find that boundary, because there was a definite boundary on the property. So the previous owner, she was eccentric, and she built an evil eye on the property. So she definitely had protections up on this property. And we found one night, and we were trying to find where it began and ended, and we found it. And as we were walking back up the driveway, and it's dark, it was getting very dark, like, you could start feeling like the energy close in. And that's when that entity came forward. And some of it was just curiosity, like, think of, one puppy versus 100 puppies. Some of it was that they were just curious, because they're like, wait, this person's recognizing us. They're wanting to communicate with us. Let's go and see what they're up to. But there was the one was just, and my son saw it too. My son saw it first, and he was like, that doesn't set right with me. And then when I started tracking it, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. And you even sensed it without realizing that you sensed it, because you were sitting on the rock at the trail opening where it was coming through. And just as it started coming closer, you got up and came towards me. And that's when I decided to do that protection circle. And when I started I'm getting the chills talking about it right now. And yeah, so when I pulled in that authority of, like, this is a sacred space. You are not welcome here unless you're here to help. Unless you're here to help us rehabilitate this land, you were not welcome here. And when I pulled that in, I was definitely pulling in the queen and the mystic, those two archetypes together, and some of the warrior too, because she governs the boundaries, the borders, the shield of protection. And so the mystic, if you look at the mystic, she's the balance of them all, of all the archetypes. So when I pull her in, she is pulling energy from them all in that aspect, and all their wisdom, all their lessons, all their energies. So she can be the queen, but she can also be the warrior at the same time. So when I'm working in circle, and you've seen the difference when I'm working just working, but then commanding a circle, the archetype I'm pulling in is the mystic, because she is the accumulation of them all. And in that particular moment, it was definitely, I had to put a solid boundary up. Like, I called you guys to me. I'm like, get over here, guys. And it was a physical reaction. My son was touched. I was touched. And then when that boundary went up, it was gone. So yeah, it's wild.
Well, and I think, and since then, like I said, we have wandered around at night, or I would go out one of the upstairs decks.
Yeah.
When it's just so dark. Or it's just the full moon, which then illuminates everything. But I have walked into what would be, the woods.
Yeah.
And not felt threatened or worried. You might feel curiosity or just kind of
Yes.
like, oh gosh, what are they doing now?
Yeah. Why are they walking around at midnight?
Right. There was one night that her son, Leandra and I, we decided we were going to go walk in the woods. It was January.
Yeah. So it was snowing.
And it was snowing. So we're out there tromping around, and it's cold. We're all in our ski pants. It's freezing cold. It starts sleeting. And we're just walking around out there.
Mhm.
And eventually it was kind of like the message wasn't, you guys really need to go. It was like, what are you doing? You guys need to go go inside.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You're not supposed to be out
You're
here.
not supposed to be out here. There's things that have to happen out here that, we were having, whatever. It was a staff meeting, a community group. It was, I don't know. It was like, a meeting of the minds out there. That they're like, you guys are really, it's sweet that you're here, but it's sleeting, and what are you doing? And then, so we all just kind of were like, okay, time to go. We kind of wandered our way back in the house, covered, and we were sopping wet at that point.
Yeah. Good thing we had our ski pants and stuff
but
on.
but it wasn't a get out. It was more of a just like, sweeties, it's nice that you're here. We appreciate it. It's like, you gotta go. Like,
you gotta
go. Time for the children to go inside, and we're gonna do it. It's time for the adults. It's adult time now. You guys need to go.
That's exactly how this land looks at us, because it is so ancient. It looks at us as children, like we're infants to them. And that's the impression I definitely get, especially when we're out and it's active, because you have so many portals on this property. I really think it's like Grand Central Station for beings that we can't see with the physical eye, and especially nature beings, so tree spirits and land spirits, and even what would be considered the fae. And it was definitely that impression, like, we have business to do. Like, what are you doing? And there was so many spirits moving around, and they were just passing through. Like, they were just minding their own business, passing through. So it wasn't, since that night when I set that solid, hard protection over the property, the creep factor that was there is gone. So all the spirits here are pretty helpful, and they just kind of look, oh, aren't you cute? Yeah.
And I think it kind of enjoys, like, I've gotten more of a sense of expectation of, oh, so what are they going to do now?
Yeah.
Like when we did the labyrinth on the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And, we opened, we created a circle, and this labyrinth is on the driveway. That the members of Leandra's group that were there, as part of their final exam study kind of thing, culmination of what they had worked for.
Yeah.
And that friend of ours that, surprised us, surprised Leandra and me, and
that was the best.
We were all sitting out there, and the curiosity was so there. Like, you could see people, things were popping up and moving around and looking and being like, oh, what are they up to? Because I pretty much can guarantee that at least for, the 5 or 6 years that the owners we purchased it from had the house, there had been none of that. Whereas prior to that, Marion's stewardship of, 20 years, as best as we can figure, she was very much, she lived in this house till she was 78.
Yeah.
All on her own. Like, the neighborhood gossip is that, she would fill up the oil tanks at the beginning of the winter and not plow the driveway because the driveway was grass.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have a snowplow digging up her pristine yard. And then she was openly forever wild. Like, she she litigated against the power company when they tried to put in the high transmission power lines on the edge of her land. And normally they just take it. Yeah. And she sued them, and we owned to the middle of that transition line. She did not give up an inch of her property. And I still have kept her posted signs on the fence, because one side of the gate says Mohawk Power, the other one says Edlin, property, no trespassing. And then you put the name of who owns it, and it's Edlin. And I'll always leave that there because they litigated against a power company saying, we don't want you here.
Right.
So I'm sure when she passed, and, there's the mystery and the story of, that her
will, that
she had a will that was supposed to cede this 50 acres. And then there was 150 acres across the street. Mm-hmm. Were supposed to go to conservation. She wanted to preserve those trees.
Yes.
And so when she passed and this mysteriously disappeared, And I've talked to, because everybody here knows everybody who knows everybody,
right,
to the company that was hired to do the logging.
yeah,
Was told, we want every nickel taken out of here that we can. And so they even stood around and pointed to trees around the house and said, can we just take those too? How about those? How about those?
How much can we get for that one?
Can we get that one too? And I will give this logger credit that he was like, you kind of want to keep a buffer around the house, because if not, you literally would be sitting on the deck looking out at just devastation.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it. This is 10 years later.
Yes.
And when you look at the sizes of these little white pines that are coming up and you realize that's 10 years.
10 years.
It is a span of time that, you won't even come, because I'm sure these little pines started at nothing.
Yeah.
Are now about, 4.5 foot tall, 5 foot tall. But the big ones that were left were the disease. They were the old or the juvenile. So like 10 years ago, they were a lot thinner. You couldn't even get a 2x4 out of it. So they left them, but they're unsupported. Yeah. So whenever there's a windstorm, I mean, we just lost a big one that is probably 100 feet, 80 feet, if it's an inch, perfectly straight. And it came down in this area that we just had cleared with goats, but that's another story. But because it's not supported. They all had each other buffering the wind. And even the neighbor was saying that, they never had the windstorms that they do now, that the forest blocked it.
It did. Yeah.
And he's lost trees around his house because they're getting hit now across a big open space that had hundreds of trees. Yeah. And they were big. I mean, these were not little trees. And so you've gone from a windbreak of 4 foot wide trunk trees to nothing.
Right.
So, that is kind of the unintended consequence of taking what you take and leaving the rest. But, so I'm sure, like when Leandra was talking about the betrayal aspect of it,
it's raw here.
Yeah. And every time, I mean, it's so funny because of course, we all listen to what Leandra says. That, my husband will go back there with a weed whacker, for example. And before he even starts it, he openly addresses the property and is like, I know this is going to be loud. Yeah. But this is what I'm trying to do. Or when he takes the chainsaw out.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a log across the path, or we were trying to basically clean the trash.
Yes.
Right. That when we were able to see the dirt after the goats had been here. Even the goats were having trouble navigating the property because there was so much debris left from the logging and just topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
So,
and you found some wild stuff in when they got down to the ground, when the goats were finished.
Right.
Like just stuff they left behind.
Random pieces of metal and things. So we started hauling out these fallen trees. Like we're not taking anything down. But we had to cut them into manageable pieces.
Yes.
So every time we turn on that chainsaw, Jody's like, I'm not cutting anything that's standing. This is just for what's on the ground.
Yes.
So we can
clear it out.
So you have some room to breathe here, right? Or cutting it where they've fallen against some of the newer trees so that they could move back up into position or things. But we were very conscious of every time we turned on that chainsaw, because there's a shift, like there's a bracing that happens. Cause I'm sure it got used to hearing this horrible sound. But yeah, it's the funniest thing, because I've walked in the back and I hear my husband just shouting out into the void. I'm just going to be cutting. What's the logs? I'm not doing anything new. I know it's going to be loud.
I love it.
And without any hesitation, because, Leandra said that's what you're supposed to do. So I've heard him just shouting out into the void, and I'm just doing this right here.
State your intentions.
We're just moving the logs. I promise that's all it's going to be. It's not going to, we're not bringing any machinery. We're not, going to be devastating anything, because we don't want to go backwards, right? We don't want to add insult to injury by being like, oh, and unintentionally, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But, like that residual trauma. But I think what's been, because I'm fairly new in all of this, right? So, and there's a huge part of my logical brain that's like, okay. But I have seen a progression. Like that first summer, and this is 2024, that first summer, I remember my husband and I kind of sitting on whatever remaining furniture was left here and being surprised that there were no birds.
Yeah.
Like referring all the time to, we have more birds in suburbia in West Virginia than we do here in the woods. Like, you heard nothing. You saw nothing. You didn't see them flitting around. You didn't see them flying around. There were no birds. And it was very obvious. Like, to the point of they just were not there. And you expect to see them.
Yeah.
Because at the
trees,
house,
birds.
at the Hudson House, it's like, you see birds everywhere. There's birds all the time. And I think just quiet, like nothing. And you drive around the back on the edge, see nothing. And now you hear them.
Yeah.
Like, it started last summer. Like, now we're into 2025. We've already been working on it since May. Yeah. By the fall,
they were starting to come back.
You were starting to hear them. You're starting to hear them out back. You were starting to hear them, but you didn't really see them.
No, like, I've seen a couple as we're sitting here by the open windows. We can hear them. We hear plenty of them, a big variety, and they're everywhere. And I've seen a couple, like we had one little tiny guy in the clover underneath the window, and they're definitely coming closer to the house now.
Right. Like, I've seen more flying by. I've seen more. We would only see them on the driveway.
Yeah.
And they would like fly like right in front of and land on the driveway. And we'd be like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? We're going to run you over. But that was kind of the only place until now, here we are, 2026, 2-year anniversary. There's exponentially more out there. Like, you hear it all the time now. There's a background noise of birds.
Yeah.
That before was absolute quiet. So, I think, like, when you actually see a progression of progress, and that's where, when I was asking, this whole thing started was because I'm obviously vested in what I call the green side of Leandra, the nature Leandra, the herbalist Leandra,
the plant spirit
Leandra, the Leandra talking to trees. The joke that, before she drove in yesterday, I'm standing on the balcony going, she's gonna get here. Or specifically, like, when I go out back, right, and I'm trying to do my homework or whatever, I will always preface before I do and being like, by the way, I'm friends with, I know Leandra, and I'm out here.
Just clout, man.
I name drop. I completely name drop when I'm out there. I'm like, and by the way, I'm friends with Leandra. I know Leandra. Yes, I'm doing this, but Leandra told me to do this.
Yeah. This is my homework.
Right. I will totally name drop Leandra as I'm walking back there. To be like, just to give myself some credibility as I'm, blundering around, I'm sure, and everybody's probably watching me going like, well, she definitely doesn't see anything, does she? As they're all standing probably around me in a circle. But I'm like, I know Leandra, like, I'm going to make a badge. Like, I just wear it like a lanyard around, like, friend of Leandra, just so that, if they're checking
my card.
If they're checking my ID at the crossroads, they're going to be like, okay, she can stay. She knows to stay. But it's, and so I was specifically asking, all right, well, if now is, you're expanding and you're consolidating your knowledge of all these different disciplines that you've been involved with for, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And we're talking about these, the 9 feminine archetypes, and you're wanting to expand that programming. This conversation started because I was worried that part was going to be archived or moved on or not used.
I can't archive that.
No, but I didn't, in my lack of knowledge, I was not equating them as being similar. I thought that there's the green stuff that she does, and there's the talking to the trees and to the fae and to the land spirits and the tree spirits and the things that are back there. And then there's this work she does with the 9 feminine archetypes for other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was worried about asking the question because I didn't really know the answer before I asked it.
And being the lawyer that you are, you want to know the answer.
I'd like to know the answer before I ask a question, because I'm like, why am I going to ask the question if I don't know the answer? Out of concern. And can you, do they interact? Do they exist together?
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling better now that, because I didn't want to lose that initial. When I asked her, hey, could you come here? It wasn't for the divine feminine. It was for, can you talk to this property?
Yeah.
And because she'd been telling stories at this retreat I was at about, she's got this blackberry bush at her door, or the plants outside, and she has these conversations with plants, and I'm like, okay, I'll roll with that. I've got 50
I'm skeptical, but
I've got 50 acres of plants, and all I know is I walked back there, and my first summer I was covered head to toe with either hives or poison ivy.
Yeah.
And I had the Department of Environmental Soil and Conservation here walk to the property for 5 hours with my husband and I, and said he did not see a single sprig of poison ivy anywhere. We have never found the source of this poison ivy.
Right.
And I remember that August, that end of July, August, being covered and going, why does it hate me?
Yeah.
Because we've never found it.
No.
It's never happened since.
We've walked through there.
Everywhere. We've gone through every inch of this place.
Yeah.
And you're identifying plants. Is this poison ivy? It's like, no, this is blackberry.
Yeah.
What about this? Nope, that's raspberry. What about this? Nope, that. Yeah. We've never found it.
And it wasn't.
So, so I guess, because we didn't start recording until after you kind of started answering. How do those divine archetypes, the feminine archetypes, incorporate the green part so that someone wanting to work with property like this and heal property and commune with property can use the archetypes to do that?
So it boils boil it down to its basic component. It is relationship. So it's anchored in this matriarchal ideal of relationship and reciprocity. So if you want to get to know Blackberry, you need to show Blackberry that there is an equal exchange of energy there. And this doesn't mean you have to constantly give, sacrifice something or give an offering every day. It's giving a part of yourself to be seen by that plant so that you can receive. And this is where the divine feminine archetypes come in, because when we're working with the divine feminine archetypes, they lay that foundation for us to learn the specific lessons of that archetype, do the shadow work that blocks us from connecting with that archetype, and then embodying the essence of that archetype so we can do this work. If healing land, working with nature spirits is something that someone really wants to do, we have to get good with ourselves. We have to recognize where we are getting in our own way, where our programming, narratives, perception, and projections get in the way. So when we work with these 9 archetypes, they're essential because they teach us about who we are and they connect us to our higher self. And when I'm working with plants directly, and that's how I blend my teas, I want to show the herb, the plant that I'm working with, that I'm here for a genuine purpose. I'm not here to commodify it. And I speak about that a lot. Commodifying your ingredients is not how you do magic. That's one of the only things I'll ever tell witches what they're doing wrong or what to do on their practice is don't commodify your ingredients, because you're working with a spirit. You're working with an energy that is bigger than us, that is beyond sometimes our own comprehension. And if we can't get over ourselves, if we can't get past ourselves, if we can't deal with our shadows that hold us back or encourage us to project things onto our work and our ingredients, then we're never going to have that deep relationship with it. You know, you can go do an ayahuasca ceremony all you want. You can go do a belladonna ceremony all you want. But if you're not going into it with an intention that is pure, that is authentic, and I don't want to say pure because I don't want to tap into purity culture, but authentic is what I'm going for. You're going to have a negative experience. You're going to have a traumatic experience because these plants need you to see who you really are. They need you to be authentic. They need you to step into your power authentically, not through ego, not through money grabbing, not through buzzwords or what was popular on Instagram and that aesthetic point of view of witchcraft, but your authentic expression. And that's one of the reasons why when I was walking around and I was testing the drum and the bells, and then finally it was my voice, they wanted a piece directly from me, my offering to the land. So when we're working with the divine feminine archetypes, we are working through the shadows of each. We're reclaiming pieces of ourselves that have been fragmented and given, that have been given away in our culture because patriarchy demands it, because capitalism demands it. Think about it. If in our capitalistic society, if we were fully in our power and we fully accepted ourselves for who we are, we would never need half of the things that they market to us. We would never be swayed by emotional marketing because we would not be easily manipulated like that. So it is in the best interest of patriarchy and capitalism to keep us questioning who we are and our validity and our own authority through our own lived experience. So the divine feminine archetypes, they teach you how to live your own authority, how to recognize your own authority, your own lived experience, and how to become more authentic in your expression and do that shadow work. So if you're not doing that shadow work, you're going to have a harder time connecting with these plants. You're going to be blowing cinnamon out your door and thinking that's going to work, when really the cinnamon's going, what's going on here? Like, why are we doing this? I'm not working with you. And it might work a couple of times, but then you'll start seeing it. It'll happen eventually where all the blessings you received will be removed and it'll be washed clean, and it might take some things with it that you didn't want taken away. So that's why I really caution against just using willy-nilly. Oh, I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to Google what's good protection herbs, and I'm just going to go from there. Do your research, do your homework, know when, why, and how you would use that herb. You know, rue, I just led a class on using rue, and the discussion in the class was how rue has been that ancient curse breaker, that deep, quick, fiery cleanser and cord breaker. But you use it specifically. You don't use it willy-nilly because it is so aggressive in what it does. You pair it with another herb like hyssop or hyssop, because when you have something that's so aggressive, you want something that tempers it. Again, going back to the divine feminine, divine masculine models. The divine feminine will tear through, creating and destroying, while the divine masculine is going to go, okay, let's keep it in this lane. Let me help direct you. Okay, over here needs some attention. Let's go over here. You know, it's not caging the energy. It's directing it with intention. So that's what we're doing with the divine feminine archetypes. We are taking our intention, whether it's running a business, starting a business, doing a spell, cleaning our home. It's taking that intention and concentrating it down to its authentic purpose. You want to clean your home because you want a clear energetic space that is easy to live in, that you're not tripping over things, that you're not eating over dust or having slop on the counters with ants and bugs and that sort of thing. That's the intention, right? So when we go in magically and we're trying to clean our home, that's what we're doing. We're clearing our space to make room for the things we need and want in our life, because we're clearing out the things that don't belong. And that's what they teach us, but on different levels and in different aspects.
Well, and I think that, as we're sitting here today and what we're going to do today, to report back tomorrow morning on our Pine Notch update, the Pine Notch Chronicles.
I like it. I love it.
That we need to, I'm curious today to go back there, of course, with the VIP guest, of course.
Oh, of course.
That it's now I don't have to be I know her. I'm going to be she's right here.
Look, she's
We'll drive around. We'll drive around so she can wave.
Oh yeah,
to everybody.
I went yesterday and did a little bit of that
as we go by, but to kind of see how, if the practice has evolved, that we're invoking different things, or we're getting a different energy back in order to kind of set it for now until we're back in September
for our retreat.
To what we can do with having that mix of the progression. Like I said, I'm now looking at almost a 2-year, and Leandra was not here for the first year. She only came in for the second year.
Yeah.
And so the shift is dramatic. It was between Leandra and goats. I don't think I could have shifted it any more dramatically than what happened.
Right.
But, while we're here, I want to get, I guess, that feedback loop of, okay, what's happening with the property now? What's the progress plan? Because it's like anything else. We're bringing the foresters in to tell us, okay, this is, you do need to get rid of the brambles. You do need to start thinking about how you want the eco structure of the property to be, but also energetically. Okay, now we've got the bird population is back. How do we bring back, the turkey herds? How do we bring back we saw that we have a fisher cat back there.
Yeah, that's cool.
The deer, of course,
of course,
and the coyotes. We've got those. That how is that working, and how can we support what we're doing? But I think energetically, to make it the place where the animals are being able to be calmer, because I don't think they've gotten a lot of calm. I think they've gotten a lot of activity.
Yeah.
And a lot of manipulation of the property, but then it just got left or not cared for or abandoned. And it's okay, abandoned again.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
All right. So we're off. We're off for the Pine Notch Chronicles. Now we're going to be boots on the ground.
Yeah, boots on the ground. We're going into the woods. Well, thank you for talking with me. This is good.
So thank you.